Hey guys, so today I am filming a palette of the month video on the Balm in the Balm of Your Hand palette. If you guys have never seen this video from me before, I'll have my playlist linked down below. So far I have done videos on the Kat Von D Interstellar palette and the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. My inspiration for this series is my friend Amanda Alexander, or Fashion Footing. She had been doing a palette of the week challenge over on her Instagram, and then at the end of 2015 she did a big roundup video sharing her thoughts with you guys on all of the palettes that she used. I'll have Amanda's video linked down below. Make sure you go check her out. She is one of my YouTube besties. So I have mentioned several times that I am not a palette person. I much prefer to use single shadows, but I do have quite a few lovely palettes in my collection that I need to get proper use out of. Another problem for me is that I don't tend to experiment with makeup looks. Once I find one look in a palette, I stick to it and wear it all the time, but I don't try to create looks with any of the other shades in the palettes. So my hopes for this series is that I will rediscover my palettes, decide whether I love or hate them. So far I've had one of each, and just discover new looks. It is challenging myself to experiment and be creative. So far it has been working really well for me. I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys enjoy the videos as well. So at the beginning of the month in my monthly makeup basket video, I will be showing you guys the palette I am choosing, and then at the end of the month I'll be posting this video. I will show you swatches, I will show you the different looks I created, and I will give you a review with my overall thoughts of the palette. So let's just jump right in with packaging. So the Balm is the brand, in my opinion, that has the best packaging ever. Now this palette did come in a little sleeve. The Balm always does that with their cardboard products, which I think is really cute. I never keep them, I always throw them away, but it is nice that they have that in case you want to keep your palette in that sleeve to protect the actual packaging. So this is what the packaging of this palette looks like. Here they just have images of the packaging of several of the products that they carry in their line, and as you can see, they are all such beautiful images. They're all very vintage inspired, which I absolutely love. The Balm palettes always come in this very sturdy, thick cardboard that has a magnetic closure. I really enjoy that kind of packaging. I think it's really easy to open and close. I feel like the magnet is strong but not impossible to open, and it is really sleek packaging. Another thing I love about the packaging that has been pretty unique to the Balm, other companies are doing it now, but the Balm has been doing it for a while. So they have one flap that has the powder products, and then they have a separate flap for the cream products. Not enough companies do this, and I think it is so awesome that the Balm is one of the first companies to do this consistently in all of their palettes that feature powder and cream products. So the packaging is one of my favorite things about this palette. I think that it is really creative, innovative, beautiful, and practical. So the theme of this palette is greatest hits. So the Balm is featuring several different products that they carry from other palettes and other individual items. So to show you everything here, you have 4 eyeshadows that are coming out of different palettes. You have one of their 3 illuminators, you have their bronzer, you have 2 of their regular blushes, 1 of their instains, 1 of their cream blushes, and 1 of their lipsticks. So I love that you get to try out so many different products. I think with a palette like this, it is perfect for someone that is being introduced to the Balm, because I feel like you are able to get a good idea of what the quality of the Balm's products are from using this palette, because you're getting to test out so many different things. So now to give you the lowdown on all of the colors, you have Insane Jane from the Shady Lady Volume 2 palette. Then you have Mischievous Marissa from the Shady Lady Special Edition palette. You have Sexy from the Nude Tude palette. You have Lead Zepplin from the Balm Jovi palette. You have Mary Loumanizer Highlight. You have one of the Balm Girls lipsticks in Mia Moore. You have one of their How About Them Apples cream blush and lip color in the shade Caramel. Bahama Mama bronzer, Cabana Boy blush, one of the In Stain blushes in Argyle, and Hot Mama blush. So with all of their different powders, they market them as being used for the cheeks and on the eyes. So here are the swatches. We have Insane Jane, Mischievous Marissa, Sexy, Lead Zepplin, and Mary Loumanizer, Hot Mama, Argyle, Cabana Boy, Bahama Mama, Caramel, and Mi Amor. So with this palette, I had created 4 different looks, and I will show you them now. And this is today's look using the Balm in the Balm of Your Hand palette. On my lids as a base, I'm using the Maybelline Color Tattoo in the shade Caramel Cool. Over top of that Maybelline base, I'm using the Balm Mischievous Marissa, which is part of the Shady Lady Special Edition palette. In my crease, I'm using MAC Brown Script, and as a transition color, I'm using MAC Soft Brown. On my lower lash line, I am using the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Stash. To set that liner, I'm using the Balm's Lead Zepplin from the Balm Jovi palette. Here what the eyes look like up close. So for my blush today, I'm wearing the Balm's Hot Mama. For my highlight, I'm using the Balm Mary Loumanizer. On my lips today, I'm wearing my current favorite nude lip combo. To line and fill my lips, I'm using the ColourPop Lippie pencil in Aquarius. And over top, I'm using my Buxom lip gloss in Sandy. Here is today's look using the Balm in the Balm of Your Hand palette. On my lid, I'm wearing Insane Jane from the Shady Lady Volume 2 palette. In my crease, I'm wearing Sexy from the Balm Nude Tude palette. For my transition shade, I'm using MAC's Haux. For a brow bone highlight, I'm using MAC's Yogurt. And here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks, I'm wearing Cabana Boy blush. And on my lips, I'm wearing the MAC Patent Polish Lip Pencil in the shade Make Me Proud. Here's today's look using the Balm in the Balm of Your Hand palette. As a base on my lid, I'm using the Milani Shadow Pencil in the shade Champagne Toast. As a transition color, I'm using the Milani Bella Eyes eyeshadow in the shade Bella Cappuccino. On my lid, I'm using the Balm Mary Loumanizer. In my crease, I'm using the Balm's Bahama Mama. On my cheeks as a contour, I'm using the Balm's Bahama Mama. For blush, I'm using the Balm's In-Stain Blush in Argyle. For my highlight, I'm using the Balm Mary Loumanizer. On my lips, I'm wearing the NYX Liquid Suede in Tea and Cookies. Here what the eyes look like up close. Here's today's look using the Balm in the Balm of Your Hand palette. On my lid as a base, I'm using the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Pomegranate Punk. On my lid, I'm using the Balm Sexy from the Nude Tude palette. In my crease, I'm using Cabana Boy blush. For my transition shade, I'm using the In-Stain blush in Argyle. Here what the eyes look like up close. On my cheeks to contour, I'm using Bahama Mama bronzer. For blush, I'm using Cabana Boy, and as a highlight, I'm using Mary Loumanizer. On my lips, I'm using the NYX Butter Gloss in Tiramisu. So now for the formula, texture, and pigmentation. So something I found pretty interesting is that within these 4 shadows here from 4 different palettes, they all have a different formula and different consistency. So first, this shade Sexy from the Nude Tude palette is a matte burgundy. This is a very dry matte. It isn't creamy and buttery like the matte shades in the Balm Meet Matte Nude palette. That made me nervous to work with it, but as you can see, I did apply it on my lid today. I did wear it over top of a cream shadow, but I didn't have any trouble applying it. Then out of these other 3 shades, these are all shimmer finishes. These 2 right here are more metallic, and this one is just more of a shimmer. This one is super, super creamy feeling. It almost feels a little bit wet. I usually do not like that texture, but it isn't so wet that it gets crumbly. It actually is the perfect consistency. It just feels so buttery and glides onto the eye so, so easily. So I feel like the textures of these shadows are just right. I do wish this one wasn't as dry, but I am still able to work with it. Another thing I was wondering is because I do have these 2 products in the full size, and I was wondering if the quality would be the same, and I find that it is. The quality and the colors are exactly the same in the palette as they are in the individual products. I really love the formula of the Balm cheek products. They are some of my absolute favorites. They are super duper pigmented though, so I recommend applying them with a duo fiber blush brush so that you don't get too much crazy color. but they apply so well. They blend effortlessly. They look amazing on the skin. Highly, highly, highly recommend every single one of the Balm cheek products. They are amazing. So now for the cream products, honestly, I didn't use a lipstick at all. It did swatch really, really well and it felt very creamy, but I just don't wear this type of color. I did try the cream blush on my cheeks, but I tried it on at night. This is a cream blush that doesn't completely dry down to feel powdery, but it isn't super wet either. It is a good texture of creaminess. I did find that it was very pigmented and easy to apply. I use the e.l.f. small stipple brush to apply this on my cheeks. You can also apply it on the lips. So now to show you my favorite shades from the palette. Mischievous Marissa, hands down, is my absolute favorite shades. I feel like these other shadows are fantastic. I really love them, but they're very dupeable. Mischievous Marissa is probably dupeable as well, but I love this shade, the texture, so much. It's absolutely my favorite shade. I have also been wanting to try these two blushes, so I was super excited that I was able to try them out in this palette. Cabana Boy, absolutely amazing. I am wearing this on my cheeks and in my crease today. I love it both ways. I think it looks amazing. This is just the most gorgeous rosy berry color ever. It is just like the perfect shade. So now for my final thoughts on the palette. What I love about this palette is the fact that you are getting to try so many different products from the Balm. Like I said, if you are introducing someone to the brand, this would be a great gift to give or a great gift to receive. Now, the only con I have is that I don't feel like I can get an entire look out of here. Now today I was able to get almost an entire look. I just went in with a matte brow bone highlight, so I was able to make it work. If I wanted a shimmery highlight, I could have used the Loumanizer, but I really cannot get a complete look out of this palette. That doesn't bother me very much because I'm so used to grabbing from multiple palettes and single shadows. I actually do prefer the fact that it has more variety, so you are getting to try out different formulas, different colors, instead of them being so cohesive. So that, I think, is going to really make a difference for people if they want a fully cohesive palette, or if they like variety so they're able to try out a lot of different things. So for me personally, I do prefer the variety. So is this a must-have palette? For me, it's not, because I already have the Loumanizer, Bahama Mama Bronzer, and Hot Mama Blush in single form, and I am not going to be using the lipstick or the cream blush, most likely. So right there, there's 2 products I won't use, 3 products I already have. So that leaves me with about half the palette. Like I said, I'm super excited that I was able to try out the Cabana Boy and the Argyle blush. Those were 2 blushes I've really been wanting to try. And for the shadows, I am really glad that I was able to try one shadow from 4 different palettes, because the only other palette I have from the Balm is the Meat Matte Nude, and I'm glad that none of those shadows are featured in this palette. But the only shade out of these 4 that is a must-have shade for me is Mischievous Marissa. So I'm kind of on the fence about this. The Kat Von D palette was a total thumbs down. The Urban Decay was 2 thumbs up. So I think for this palette, it depends on the person and what products you already own and what your interest is in testing out products from the Balm. Like I said, if you're someone that has never tried the Balm products before, this is an amazing, amazing introduction to the brand. You are getting to test out so many different kinds of products, so many different colors, different finishes. So I really love that. I think that the Balm was very, very thoughtful when choosing the colors for this palette and the different products. So this really is a greatest hits palette from them. So overall, I definitely love this palette. Very, very happy that I have it. I would love to know your thoughts if you guys own this palette, and I would love to know what your favorite products from the Balm are. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.